Mr. President, this week Congress submitted to the President the Bipartisan Congressional Review Act resolution that overturned Education Secretary Betsy DeVos's borrower defense rule. The rule that she came up with in the Department of Education makes it almost impossible for student loan borrowers, including many, many veterans who've been defrauded by their schools, these are usually for-profit schools, to have their federal student debt discharged because of the fraud under the Higher Education Act's borrower defense provisions. 10 Republicans joined with the Democrats in March to reject this rule in the Senate and pass this resolution. And I thank those on the other side of the aisle who stood up for the veterans and for students who have been defrauded. I urge President Trump to sign this bill without delay. More importantly than my urging, 30 different veterans organizations urged the President to sign our resolution. We're going to be giving a lot of speeches about veterans on the Senate floor and back home over Memorial Day weekend. Here's a chance for the President to stand up for the veterans on Memorial Day weekend. In a March 13 letter to President Trump, these veterans asked him to ensure that, quote, the men and women who serve their country honorably are not burdened with student loans that result from fraud. I ask consent that this letter be included in the record.
Without objection.
Thank you. President Trump has the opportunity to be the one who rescues these defrauded veterans from a rule that the American Legion has entitled fundamentally rigged against defrauded borrowers, and give these Americans who served our country not just a pat on the back, but a chance to get back in the game in their lives. American voters are behind us, overwhelmingly both political parties. New polling by Third Way finds that voters in key red and swing states believe the federal government should not make students who took out loans to attend fraudulent or misleading institutions of higher education pay back those loans. In Ohio, 73% of voters believe this, 68% in Indiana, 64% in Colorado, 63% in Pennsylvania, 61% in Missouri and North Carolina, 60% in South Carolina. When asked if schools that misled student borrowers should be held accountable, the numbers are dramatically higher. 95% of Republicans in North Carolina agree. 91% of Republicans in South Carolina. The list goes on. The DeVos borrower defense rule would make it impossible for defrauded borrowers to get the relief that the American people and I believe they deserve. It will lessen accountability for the schools that defrauded these borrowers. They're just going to do it again. And God forbid we loan these schools, these defrauding schools, money in the current economic crisis so they can continue to defraud veterans and other students. This isn't a controversial issue among the American people, just among politicians. By signing this resolution, President Trump would be supporting Americans' veterans, Democratic and Republican voters. I hope he's listening.